Syrian refugees continue pouring into Turkey after the army pounds their town using tanks and helicopters. Hello, I'm Shuli Ghosh. You're watching Al Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up in this programme, as the counting begins, Turkey's ruling party is hoping for a third straight term in power. Fighting intensifies in western Libya as rebels move closer to Tripoli. And the struggle to put food on the table. Could rising grocery prices also have a political cost in Mexico? Thanks for joining us. So Syrian troops are now reported to be in total control of the northwestern town of Jizr al-Shugur. Earlier, government tanks and helicopters moved in. Heavy fighting was heard. These are the latest pictures from the area. Now, it's thought most civilians had left the town, joining thousands of refugees trying to cross the border into Turkey. Tarek Bazley has our report.
It's across this border with Turkey that thousands of Syrian refugees are fleeing. Entire families, with little more than the clothes they wear, camped out, waiting to cross. Among them, former conscript to the Syrian army, Thawat Arafat Haidar. He served in the army's 4th Division for 5 months, but defected after being given orders to shoot civilians.
I saw Iranians and Hezbollah members also giving us orders to shoot. Those who did not obey were shot immediately in the back. All the soldiers who were killed were hit in the back or the neck. We used to try to fire in the air so not to kill protesters. 5 of my colleagues refused to shoot. They were shot in the back and killed.
One woman describes the violent crackdown on a funeral gathering in the town of Jizr al-Shugur.
When the mourners came back from the cemetery, the gunmen and snipers began firing at us. We did not know where the bullets were coming from. We were peaceful. The bullets even went into our homes. We escaped barefoot, without food or water, without packing our clothes.
Officials believe as many as 10,000 Syrians are now camped out on the border, waiting for the opportunity to cross. In Turkey, the Red Crescent has set up makeshift camps for them. Turkey's accused Syria of savagery in its crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators and has welcomed those seeking refuge.
We don't want to expect more. However, if there will be more people coming, of course we will continue our assistance to them.
The United Nations Refugee Agency says Syria must guarantee the safe return of those forced to flee across the border.
The key issue for UNHCR is that they are able to return in safety and in dignity, and that there is not a protection problem for them. There isn't a continued threat or fear of persecution.
Officials say with each new report of violence from inside Syria, they fear the wave of refugees will grow, making this a domestic political and security crisis that threatens to destabilise the region. Tarek Bazley, Al Jazeera.
Well, foreign media are banned from Syria, but people who fled the country have given Al Jazeera a new video. In these pictures, said to have been filmed in Latakia on Saturday, gunfire can clearly be heard as protesters climb onto a building. Now, Al Jazeera has no way of independently verifying when and where the footage was filmed. Activists say this protester was wounded during clashes between soldiers and protesters in Jizr al-Shugur last Saturday. Well, Farhan Haq is a spokesperson for the UN Secretary General. He said Ban Ki-moon is deeply worried about the actions of the Syrian government.
At this stage, the major concern of the UN Secretary General is roughly the same as that of people around the world. Namely, he is concerned about the violence, particularly the violence in Jizr al-Shugur, but Syria in recent weeks. He has spoken by telephone with President Assad several times over the course of recent months. He tried again over the past 2 days, but has been unable to get through. But his message remains the same, that the violence must halt, that there needs to be a reaching out to the protesters to find out what their legitimate aspirations and legitimate demands are. And therefore, there needs to be an effort to have some reforms that will actually satisfy the people who have been out in the streets. The other concern he has is that in recent weeks, we had tentative agreement for the United Nations to send both a humanitarian assessment team and a human rights team into Syria. And yet, because there's been no follow-through on those, neither team has been able to get in so far. So we still need to assess both what the humanitarian needs on the ground are, and also we need to get a picture of any allegations of human rights